早晨
Members, good morning. We have a quorum. Since the last meeting, we have received several information papers for your perusal. You have to pay particular attention to one. That is to say, a letter was sent to me by Ms. Eunice Yong, dated the 29th November 2022, relating to the incorrect information on national anthem. The Secretariat has already written to the administration, expecting a written reply. The administration has not given us any reply yet. We have several minutes, and you are welcome to express your views whether it should be added to our agenda today. But then we still have to wait for the reply from the administration. In my mind, this is serious, and it happens once again. It's important that we have to prevent this from recurring again. Several minutes. Any views? Well, you can press the button to speak. For Reverend Peter Kuhn and Mr. Shiu. Chair, this is a very serious incident. From my point of view, apart from our panel, I think the government has to discuss with the relevant sports committee. National anthem of Hong Kong is per se problematic. We do not have a national anthem of Hong Kong. They have to make it clear. It has misled some people. Given the name per se, it is strange. It is not a national anthem of Hong Kong. On Google, I'm not sure whether it would conduct a search based on this keyword. Honestly, well, other Chinese national anthem was not played incorrectly, and there were no wrong results in relation to other searches. Yes, this is somehow fishy. On the internet, on the platforms, people can exchange information online, which is convenient to us. However, the platform companies have the responsibility to ensure that the information is true, is accurate, in order not to cause any harm. If the platform company says that the world is so large, then this is still understandable. However, quite a number of people have expressed that when the Chinese national anthem was played, that was indeed not the national anthem. It was the Song of Glory. This received widespread coverage around the world, and this is well known. I believe that quite a lot of legislators have expressed their views to the platform companies. If they know that this is not the national anthem, then the onus is on the platform companies to remove the incorrect information or materials. If they knowingly upload the information online, the government should have follow-up actions in this regard. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Following up on this national anthem incident, indeed it is very serious. And today we're going to discuss Ms. Eunice Yong's request for following up on the incorrect information on the national anthem on Google. I speak in support of Ms. Yong's opinion. That is really problematic. Any enterprises operating in Hong Kong should comply with the rules. The internet is not without rules. Right now, a song with Hong Kong independence being played, this is actually in contravention of the national security law. The search engines have the responsibility for handling this matter. I have requested the police to handle this matter. Apart from Google, we can also see that on YouTube, this Hong Kong independence song is still put up there. This is a problem indeed. Of course, we can invite these enterprises to come to the Legislative Council to discuss with us. Whether they would come, this is another matter. We have to seriously deal with this issue, and this panel should request that the government face the issue seriously. Dr. Low, I agree with other members' speeches. They have pointed out the problem. In fact, the national anthem of Hong Kong is per se problematic with the wording, as our national anthem is the anthem of China. We do not have an individual national anthem of us. You will not ask whether New York City has their own national anthem. However, when you conduct a search, this search result still tops the list of the results. Sure, you might have experience. When people think that your political leanings are problematic, you will have your account cancelled. So when some supporters express their views, their accounts got cancelled, they would be angry. They would be annoyed. But then the government does not have any way to deal with this matter. As usual, when there are complaints, they will make adjustments. So I think the government should seriously deal with this matter. And it is not appropriate to prolong further. We shouldn't drag our feet. You have expressed your views, especially from Dr. Low, who mentioned trademark. Any perceived incorrect political leanings would have their accounts suspended. So, well, such is your situation, such as the overthrowing of the government, any sedation was involved. So the search results would be promoted according to different customers. This is indeed not appropriate. In the EU, some customers were involved in inappropriate reports. Information platforms were requested to make adjustments, to make amendments. They were, however, not willing to do so. In the courts in Europe, they think that this is actually mandatory, so they had no choice but to make relevant amendments. On these very correct stances, they should express their views. This is correct. So let us wait for a reply from the government. But then we have to have a formal discussion session. In order for us to follow it up properly, we have to wait until next year. So let us bring this matter to a close today. Second item on the agenda, Capital Works Reserve Fund, CRRF, Head 710, Computerization, Subhead A007GX Block Allocation, New Administrative Computer Systems. We welcome the administration to come to the conference room today. Members who wish to speak can press the button. Let us now welcome the administration. We have with us Ms. Linian Chong, Undersecretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry, together with Mr. Victor Lam, Mr. Gavin Wah, and Ms. Charmaine Wong, who will walk us through the contents of the relevant fund. The administration will give us an introduction in a while. In accordance with Section 83A of the Rules of Procedure, should you have any pecuniary interest, you have to disclose the nature of the relevant interest, and then we will consider your voting in accordance with Section 84. So, Undersecretary, Ms. Lilian Chong, please. Capital Works Reserve Fund CWRF Head 710 Computerization Subhead will be expanded on the new administrative computer systems and the relevant studies. These schemes can be categorized into two types. 1. Over 20 million that requires the approval of the Finance Committee. These are major projects. And those above 200,000 but below 20 million. These are block vote projects. The aim is to expedite the approval of more small-scale IT projects, thus increasing the efficiency of implementing government's information technology projects, also allowing the FC to focus on processing the funding application of large-scale IT projects. As usual, we will apply to the Finance Committee to apply for funding. So, in the next year, when we carry out Capital Works Reserve Fund Head 710, we can allow the bureaus and departments to launch relevant administrative computer systems and relevant studies. In 2023-24, in this financial year, the funding amount we propose is 1.85 billion in order to launch 860 projects, including 200-odd new projects to be launched next year. Compared with 2022-23, this is an increase of 340 million. That is to say 22.5% from 1.51 billion last year. It will support bureaus and departments to carry on with the projects approved or to be approved by the OGA-CIO. Through the relevant projects in 2023, by the end of 2023, we will carry out e-audit for all bureaus and departments, and to promote the use of innovation technology to expedite the development of smart government, as well as the efficiency and quality of public services, at the same time promoting the development of a smart city. Bureaus and departments will also use the fund on the system refresh. They will also make good use of big data analytics and cloud computing to improve the function and efficiency of the systems. In terms of cybersecurity, bureaus and departments will continue to put in place effective measures to improve cybersecurity. They will also conduct risk assessment and audit in order that we will not be attacked. In terms of cybersecurity, we will further explain or answer questions so that we have to seek support from members. There are 5 members who would like to ask questions. 4 question and answers in succession. Mr. Chen Hopfeng, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Mr. Lam Chen Sing, Mr. Xiu Pafei, and Ms. Elizabeth Kwok. Mr. Chen, please. Every year, when the government seeks digitalized or computerized system, when they bring it to LegCo, we think that we have been cheated. Digitalized means that the files have been made PDF. They ask people to download and then submit the form. This is not really digitalization. This is just to turn it into an electronic format. We shouldn't do it this way. Actually, a lot of departments scan the files into a PDF format and then upload it onto the internet. I don't think that we should do it at this stage. We should do it by way of e-audit. Under this scheme, how much of the manpower has been reduced as a result of this project? Rather than after submitting the PDF, they have to be reviewed one by manpower. I think that we can actually make use of AI for the auditing process so that we can do this faster. How many projects do you have? What is the timeline? This is the first question. When can you complete all these projects? Secondly, there are a lot of mobile phone applications. So many that the government even does not have an idea of the total number of projects. Do not just talk about one of the apps, that is to say, I am smart. Do you have a one-stop digital services platform? Is it included in the timetable this time? Thirdly, we should lay some groundworks for national security law. Despite an increase in the data backup due to geopolitical situations in recent years, do we have any packages for the backup software? For example, if some software is blocked or restricted, do we still have fallback so that they will not be paralyzed?
The Secretary, thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Chen. Let me briefly respond to the first question, and then I defer to the audio for a reply. Mr. Chen's got a point there. The use of IT to promote e-government represents our key direction. So how can we reduce the administrative procedures, and this is something of concern to us. So one of the key directions is to deliver the government services in a digital way in 2 years' time. And we're going to be having the e-government audit to promote the adoption of digital delivery of service in a one-stop manner. As to the apps and the IT security and the backup and so on, I defer to the audio on this. Yes, please. Chairman, we have 3,700 different forms in the government. Over the past couple of years, we have been promoting the digitalization of these forms. Now, Mr. Chen referred to the PDF forms. The PDF is a form of digitalization because if you fill out the form in the PDF form, you can send it off. You don't have to print it off for submission. We are submitting. I mean, there are 3,200 out of 3,700 that can be delivered digitally. There are a few hundred that cannot be submitted digitally. The major reason is that we are bound by the legislation. We're bound by the operational needs. In some cases, after submission, you need to have the materials to be submitted, and they have to be submitted alongside the form. That's in the minority. As the Undersecretary said a moment ago, we will amend the legislation to make it possible for the forms to be submitted electronically. This can happen in 2 years' time. After 2 years, if there are forms that are required by the statutory requirement, whereby you have to submit in person, like taking an oath and declaration and so on, in these cases, you will have to turn up at the department for this to be processed. But we'd like to make it a single visit for this purpose, to make it convenient for the public. I hope that would address Mr. Chen's concern. Second, about the mobile apps. Over the past couple of years, we have published a set of guidelines. If the mobile apps are used infrequently, they have to be taken off the shelf. For the apps that are currently in use, I remember there were about 100 or so in 2 or 3 years' time, and now the number is down to 80. The departments would keep an eye on this. If they're not used as often as they should, they will be taken off the shelf, because if we have to maintain them, it would incur resources. Mr. Chen asked whether we should have a single app to deal with all manner of services. We do have a one-stop app that contains all the different mobile apps, but that may not be the most useful, because the apps are serving a wide variety of different purposes. The Undersecretary mentioned the app that can serve all the purposes, that will enable the users to know what apps would be available if they want to use a certain kind of service. Now, let's say they are applying for a license, and they will also need to apply for a couple of other licenses at the same time, and that would be linked together to make people aware that we are digitalizing the government services. We will get this done in 3 years' time. That this one-stop service will become available in 3 years' time. And Mr. Chen, beg your pardon, I'm droning on for too long. Yeah, make it brief, please, if I may, Chairman. About the IT security, well, we attach a great deal of importance to data security. Mr. Chen made the suggestion that for certain hardware or software that obsolete, how are we going to deal with them? Now, we do have the backup model. Now, for the systems where we don't have the backup model, we will examine carefully to see whether there is a need for such a backup. And if there is such a need, we would certainly have this backup model, in particular those that are critical, that have to do with the livelihood and the members of the public. Thank you. Right, the first question covers so many different areas, and I think it is justified to let the GCIO have more time. GCIO, if I may put this to you, now for the backup model, you might wish to make available a list for our reference as to what software enjoys high IT security and has a backup, so that the panel would have better idea what's going on, and also the timetable, the process, the progress, and so on. Dr. Lo Wei Kwok, please. Chairman. Under CWRF Head 710 computerization, there are different computer systems upgrade involving the software and hardware, and we are using this subhead A007GX block allocation, and this is seeking our support. This is a routine exercise. In fact, the government departments have been moving on with the times, and this is really commendable. And I don't remember any year in which we voted down this particular proposal, and this definitely will enjoy our support. Now, there were attempts to filibuster the funding proposal, but I think in the new normal, I'm sure that this kind of funding will enjoy plain sailing at the Finance Committee, and you can rest assured there. Chairman, there are two online services that are pretty good. The first one is the renewal of the driving license. The second is the Hong Kong SAR passport renewal. All I need to do is to fill out the form online and make payment online, and get these documents sent to me by mail, and I don't have to turn up anywhere for collection. A couple of years ago, I remember we visited the Yangtze Delta for a visit, and there is this IT center in Hangzhou where they are processing a lot of applications and dealing with people's day-to-day life, and people. There's a slogan that they only need to turn up once, and they also have all these apps to look after all these different routine businesses. The two examples that I quoted, I'm happy with them. It's not difficult at all. I feel that the government is operating like in a silo. I said this many times, and I say again that the government should set up a big data bank, and you should harness technology to make it user-friendly and to achieve better efficiency in this e-government proposal. Now, we have all these different items of work, and there are insufficient details. But how soon are you going to achieve what I said? Other than, I mean, they have the People Center in Hangzhou, and they also have the city brain there, which is operating the entire city. And this is really popular in Hangzhou, and we're still struggling with this in Hong Kong. So my question is, how soon are we going to have the big data bank, and also the true e-government to make it user-friendly for the public? How soon are we going to see this happen? Yes, please. And the Secretary. Thank you, Chairman. Thanks very much, Dr. Low, for his support for taking forward e-government. We subscribe to a lot of the ideas. We visited many different places. Dr. Low mentioned this one-stop service. In taking forward the e-government, this is the direction we are moving towards. Now we're talking about this one-stop service and digitalization. And in 2015, we hope that 100 different items of e-government services will become available, and people can use AI, big data, blockchain, and so on. All these will be harnessed to make it user-friendly. The member mentioned the data island and the big data bank. We do have the big data analytics platform that enables the departments to analyze the data to process the formulation of policies. At OGO, there is a specific dedicated team to provide the technical support. As to the details, I defer to the CGIO or GCIO on this. Yes, Dr. Low mentioned the use of big data. I don't think you should be operating in silo. If there are any legislative obstacles, please deal with them. Yes, about this big data bank. In terms of traffic and transport, we have done this. If members remember, we have a platform which we work in conjunction with the TD. We collect all the data for analysis, and all the data are actually released on this particular platform. For the other data, we have this authorized data exchange. Basically, this is a channel for the exchange of data. This is in keeping with the privacy ordinance, and the departments can exchange the data among themselves. The members may say that it would be better to have a broader platform. Now, put it this way, it would take an awful long time to build this platform, but if we can have an exchange to achieve the same purpose, it would not be any different. So we will be getting this exchange up and running first. The work is in hand in this regard, and towards the end of 2023, we're going to be launching this exchange gateway, and this will be linked up with the CDI, the commercial data interchange. And in 2024, mid-off, in 1 year and a half's time, we're going to be enabling all these departmental data to be connected, and we will be able to achieve this data bank purpose. Like Dr. Low said, if the members of the public would like to apply for certain service, they don't have to run across different departments. This one single site would be connecting all the different data there.
Allow me to supplement. When it comes to an existing traffic database, however, how can people have a safer traffic network? and to resolve their livelihood needs faster in Hangzhou. With the city brain, they can have an idea of any accidents, where can the injured people be sent to regarding traffic lights, etc. But then I do not see such functions of the big data. I'm not satisfied with your answer. Yes, we can see how we can make improvements. Mr. Lam Chen-Tsing. Thank you, Chair. This is a regular project every year. This is a routine exercise. We hope that after the funding, it can really help the government to get smarter. A lot of projects involve I am smart. 110 KPIs are involved. Many of them are related to I am smart. For example, the annual usage rate from 2021, 5 million usage rates to 10 million usage rates in 2023. Further to 2025, there can be 17.5 million. So it is hoped that all government departments will also be able to use I am smart to serve the public. Despite a regular annual funding, which is a routine exercise, is it really conducive, as a matter of fact, to the KPI in the policy address in relation to, that is to say, item A, subheading? There is a subheading, contract staff, which takes up some 20% of the overall funding. I'd like to know the work nature of the contract staff. What are they responsible for? Are they traditional non-civil servants, staff members, or T contract, that is to say, information technology staff member? Is there any long-term need for them to engage in this position? I understand that for CERF departments, that is to say, the Audit Commission pointed out a lot of them use too many permanent contracts. Can it be drawn from the permanent establishment? If there is a long-term need, can they be added to the permanent establishment so that there will be a stable team working on the development of information technology for the government? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lam, for your question. I will take the first question and I will defer the second question to Mr. Victor Lam. First, regarding I am smart, whether it will help us achieve the aim and whether we have confidence. We definitely have the confidence. It will definitely help, and we are definitely confident that we will achieve it. The confidence actually comes from, throughout these 3 years, all government services can be used through I am smart. There is a one-stop service in relation to system refresh, updates, and these are necessary. So in relation to the arrangements of the funding, that is to say, the block allocation funding, it involves digital government services, for example, digital platforms, how we can integrate the data system, as well as facilitating automatic updates through digitalized system. This is actually playing a pivotal role in our project, and how we can achieve 17.5 million usage rates in 2025 when the government has a lot of services provided through I am smart. And that is to say, we will further refine the user experience in I am smart, which is material, and we will also step up publicity in this regard. We are confident that we will fulfill this key indicator, and of course we hope to bring convenience to the public. Thank you, Chair. Please be brief. A lot of the staff members are T contract regarding the reason. the development of computers has a time frame. Therefore, employing T contract staff members will allow them to provide services instead of permanent establishment. This can also allow them to flexibly face the fluctuations in INT staff members. So they can also tap the expertise in the market, as well as the professionalism in this respect, so that both private sector and the public sector will also have exchange of ideas. Whether we will change these T contract staff members to permanent establishment, we do have this mechanism. If we see that there is a need to fill these gaps, we will then submit an application to the CSB. After approval, we will have new positions to be filled by permanent civil servants. We have to keep tight to the time because we have to finish this meeting by 11:55 today. There are 4 more members. After Mr. Hon TANG Fei, I will draw a line. Mr. Hon TANG Fei, please. Thank you, Chair. Regarding digitalization of the government, I definitely support this idea. And the estimate will be increased by 22.5% to 1.85 billion. This is understandable. In enclosure A, the 1.85 billion will be split under different categories. That is to say, software, hardware, emergency services, all priority projects, etc. Apart from contract staff members, they increase by proportion from 21.6% to 17.9%. There is a drop. Whether we will turn contract staff members to permanent establishment, should there be a need, just do it. However, there is actually greater flexibility when some contracts were subcontracted. This is also more economical. Regarding enclosure B, there is a detailed breakdown of the funds being allocated to different bureaus and departments in relation to how they improve the services. That is very clear. I think that the public will have a better idea. Regarding the improvements of functions or services provided, the results will be seen next year. However, some will not seen before 2005. For example, regarding item 17 in relation to a fire system from the FSD, it will not come to fruition until 2025. Why does it take too long? And I thank the officer, the principal official, for having served the community, leading their team. Thank you, Mr. Victor Lam, for your service. It seems that you are actually appreciating the service instead of raising questions. Well, I thank Mr. Shill for your compliment. This is our responsibilities. We have to digitalize government. In response to Mr. Shill's questions in relation to the longer time in some departments, for example, for 77, the system of the FSD, as it is actually a brand new system, the value is actually great, so it is not strange to see that it will take longer time. That is the establishment of a pilot fire protection information library and electronic enforcement system. The OGCIO will monitor the situation. If it can be expedited, we would definitely ask that the project be expedited. especially when it comes to systems that will benefit citizens. We will definitely ask them to launch the system more expeditiously. So rest assured, we will definitely ask them to carry on ASAP. Above all, do not prolong the projects because of lack of manpower. I'm not sure about the programming or software, apart from local staff members. Can staff members from overseas offer assistance as well? Is there a lower cost? We have quite a lot of subcontractors, and there are different staff members who can join hands together to expedite the project. Ms. Elizabeth Quad, questions on two fronts. First, in relation to system security. Members raised this point as well because of geopolitical situation. There are government officials unreasonably sanctioned by other countries, which affected some U.S. enterprises, which will target individual government departments or individuals. They will sanction these people or departments. Against this backdrop, have any government departments or software been sanctioned by U.S. enterprises? That is to say, they will not update these software, they will not sell software to you. What is their departments? How will you deal with it? Several years ago, we have launched a program. That is to say, within 3 years, we will turn all hardware to those produced by the country. Then we will not be bound by any hardware produced by overseas. We will start from hardware, followed by software. We will use the systems devised or manufactured by our country. Having regard to the international landscape, there is changing of information. We have to move with the times. What is the plan of the government? We can see that the 1.85 billion of the funding revolves around hardware and software. Have you ever considered these factors such as geopolitical landscape in order to ensure the safety of our systems? Secondly, you also have to work on a smart city. The Blueprint 3.0, do you have any timetable? Will it be launched, or will it be included in your innovation and technology blueprint? Members also mention issues relating to data. We always hope there is connectivity or sharing, not just internally, but then there should be interchange with the public so that the public can actually benefit from such an interchange. However, in terms of global standards, Hong Kong does not rank high. So globally, the Hong Kong government is not deemed to make good use of data. So in 2016, when I took part in the Smart City Alliance, Hong Kong was recommended to have a principal data officer and a dedicated department overseeing big data analytics. That is to say, whether the statistics and consensus department can be turned into a dedicated department. There should be a definition, collection of information, while at the same time protecting personal privacy. There is no progress so far. Is there any update? Thank you, Chair. I will briefly respond, and then I will defer to Mr. Victor Lam. Thank you, Ms. Quartz, for your question. Indeed, it is important, and the government attaches a great deal of attention. Cybersecurity, whether system or not, is paramount. The storage of information is also very important. Secondly, regarding Blueprint 3.0, we are planning to fully review Blueprint 2.0 in 2023, as well as its effectiveness. We will also start preparing Blueprint 3.0. We thank Ms. Quad and the trade for your reviews on the blueprint. So we will lay the groundwork right now. In relation to data interchange, this is our direction indeed, and I will defer to GCIO. Thank you, Ms. Kwok. In relation to cybersecurity or data security, indeed, it is of paramount importance. In relation to data infrastructure, we attach particular importance to data security. For example, I Am Smart. When we launched I Am Smart, we indeed factored in this consideration. Software or hardware, because of various factors, for example, geopolitical situations, they may not be able to be used. We do have fallback plans, and we will explain at a later stage.
Yes, about the big data portal at the audio a couple of years ago, we have created a post responsible for big data. So audio is dealing with this at the moment. But when we take this forward, we have to redouble our efforts there. By the end of the year, we will be dealing with the spatial data first, because there is a huge potential there with regard to spatial data. As indicated in the policy address, we'd like to promote the data in the private sector to be made available. The government data have been opened up. We have 500 or so opened up for the spatial data. There is also room for the private data to be opened up. With the promotion of the audio together with various departments, we can promote more private sector organizations to open up their market, their data. The other area is the flow of mainland data into Hong Kong. We will be liaising with the mainland organizations to facilitate the flow of mainland data to Hong Kong as well. Mr. Duncan Chiu, Chairman, from the paper, a lot of the items are similar things, like the VPN, the assessment of IT security and office automation, and so on. Have we actually reviewed the situation? If we allow them to go about these separately and they may be procuring different systems, are we going to be consolidating the procurement? Perhaps we can have one single supplier for various departments. Take Macau, for instance. The chat system in the government, they have one single supplier that would make things a lot more consistent, and we can achieve some savings as well. The audio has got the 600 million for the e-government audit. So for these departments, I think we should really do something about the tendering exercise. We have a consolidated tendering exercise. GCIO. Thank you very much, Mr. Chiu, for the suggestion. Indeed, there are some tenders and they're under the purview of the audio, and this is what we're doing, like the email system and so on. There are other systems that for the departments, like the digital security or IT security and IT audit. It would be faster, more efficient if they take it on themselves. We make available a list for them. Let's say there are 10 companies on the list, and they can pick and choose what they like as long as the company can meet the demand. Of course, we have to look at the value for money and the price tag and so on. Now that would make things proceed a lot more efficiently. Now there are issues are less significant and that will be dealt with by the departments themselves. But there are certain things that are coordinated by the audio centrally, and this will ensure the quality as well as efficiency. Mr. Sunny Tan. Chairman, thank you. 2 questions, if I may. In the mainland, there are many eminently good systems and softwares. When we take forward the smart city, I think we can take advantage of these, customize them, and put them to good use. This would be highly efficient. I hope that the country can support us in this regard for better efficiency. Second, about I'm Smart app, according to the policy address, there is a very ambitious goal. The I Am Smart app is on the basis of people, and we're dealing with people, we're dealing with the SMEs in some other cases, and the designs would be difficult for the SMEs. I hope that I can speak up for the SMEs. So the government services are not merely delivered to the individuals, but also to the SMEs. Why don't you do something about the SMEs as well? Under Secretary. Thanks very much, Mr. Tan. For the first question, the systems that are available in the mainland, that's true. Perhaps let me say something about the cross-boundary portal, one-stop portal, that the audio is liaising with the Guangdong authorities to see whether we can integrate the infrastructure, the mutual recognition of the services. Like I'm Smart, that the member referred to, we have the mutual recognition of the e-certificate, and the I Am Smart will become the platform for the cross-boundary government services. And with the mutual recognition of the e-certs, the people of Hong Kong will then be able to use I'm Smart across the boundary, and they can also then use various e-government services in Guangdong province. And by the same token, Guangdong residents can also take advantage of their own portal to use the e-government services in Hong Kong. And also the flow of data between the 2 places is something that we are dealing with. Beg your pardon. Sorry, Undersecretary, I'm talking about, let's say in Hangzhou, they have the traffic management system, which is really good. Can we replicate the same system in Hong Kong? I'm not really talking about the examples that you referred to. I'm talking about the other issue. Undersecretary. Indeed, there are certain systems. I can defer to the GCIO for more supplement. As to the SMEs, I'm grateful to Mr. Tan. You have been moving these forward. We've achieved some progress together with the Hong Kong MA. We have completed a version of I'm Smart for enterprises. We are proceeding with the second phase. We are doing this together with the CDI, and this will be the authentication of identity. I am just as patient as Mr. Tan would like to take this forward. For other things, I defer to the GCIO. Right, Mr. Tan has got a very good suggestion. There are certain systems that have been imported to Hong Kong, and they're being used in their departments. The audio is maintaining close liaison with certain organizations like Huawei. They have the hardware and software that are really good in their functionalities. So we are introducing a lot of software and hardware from Huawei to be used in our e-government services. So members can rest assured if there is any good system from the mainland, we'll certainly be prepared to consider it. I've drawn a line there, and Mr. Chan just snapped in, and also Mr. Holden Chow. I cut my own quota. I give up the chance for these two members. I've got to rush off to another appointment, so I have to end the meeting on time. Right, Mr. Chow. Now, the key thing about the paper is the e-government services, and the Secretary has explained this in sufficient detail. And let me cite an example. The Hong Kong Productivity Council, and Mr. Tan is well versed in this. They have a pretty good item to help the SMEs, and they would consolidate all the funding and make available the information in a one-stop manner. And you may wish to solicit certain views from the HKPC. That this is a good example. We talk about the Census and Statistics Department and so on. They have all these IT projects, but they are individual cases. I'm sure myself, EQ, and other members have talked about this in the privacy ordinance. Perhaps we can do something about it, and we can loosen up the restrictions to make sure that we can have a big government data system. Now, you have cited some examples, and things are going ahead. But for the data connection, I hope that you should really loosen up the restrictions. I Am Smart is a pretty good example. Of course, I would like to have the connectivity of all the data that people can make the application at a one-stop shop, and they don't have to turn up different places for the services. Right, they have the exchange gateway that the GCIO referred to. Are there any stumbling blocks in the form of legislative provisions we can render assistance in this regard? Yes, as to whether there is any obstacle in the privacy ordinance, the answer is no. Under the PDPO, all the members of the public would need is to give one single authorization. Now we have the authorization system, and we can compare the authorization, and people don't really have to do it many times over. So there is no restriction. If there is any restriction, if there is an impediment, certainly we will be coming back to the council for this to be addressed. Mr. Chen Kin-po, I am all in support of this, Chairman. This will be taken to the PWSC and the FC. Now, all these items are important. The e-government services. The most important thing is the IT security. I think we have to enhance the awareness there. Now, if there are sabotage of the water supply system and the power supply system, then it would be disastrous. How can we ensure that even if we are under attack, we can recover them in no time? You can imagine in other parts of the world, I mean, if nobody can log on to the government services, and if the e-banking is getting into trouble, and it will be really disastrous. I think we have to ensure that we have good enough IT security system to guard against the hackers, and to make sure that if the systems are down, we can recover them as soon as we possibly can. I think I would support all these initiatives to make the system better. This has to do with national security and the security of the IT system.
謝主席。
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chan, for your question. There are two aspects to your question. First, in relation to the storage of information and the key infrastructures. Secondly, in relation to software or system, which I will defer to Mr. Victor Lam. Indeed, national security, cybersecurity, information technology security, these are of paramount importance. In the taking forward of the smart government, this is of prime concern. So regarding key infrastructures in relation to cybersecurity, the government is preparing, by way of legislation, to clearly define the responsibilities of network providers. In setting the standard, we will also draw reference from other jurisdictions or standards adopted by other countries. This is being drafted, and we plan to have a consultation session next year. In relation to system, I would defer to Mr. Victor Lam. Thank you, Chair. For the internal system of the government, we have a comprehensive policy and guidelines in relation to cybersecurity. First, departments have to comply with all the guidelines, and every 2 years they will have to conduct an audit for all systems so that the systems are both safe and reliable. So what about they skipped any audit? The OGCIO will every 5 years do yet another round of audit. This is to make sure that all departments have conducted audit to ensure the safety and reliability of the systems. Regarding the audit, first of all, in terms of the flow, that is to say the flow of information, we will carry out audit. We will also carry out audit for software and hardware. Some systems may be attacked. So in this event, we will conduct a penetration test by which we can gauge whether the system can guard against any attack from the outside. The auditor, upon completion, can certify the completion of these audits, and the OGCIO will also review whether these audits are properly conducted. In relation to national security and the basic safeguard, we will also have to align our standards with those of the country. I believe that you have your own policy or protocols to go by. We have to have regard to the country to see what standards or protocols they have so that we can make sure we can finish all these with great efficiency in order to connect with the country. All of you proactively speak, and it seems that no one raised any objection to 710 computerization subhead 8007GX block allocation. So are all of us in support to submit it to the Public Works Subcommittee? Those who support, please raise your hand. Yes, unanimously support. We have very good time management. And let us go to the third item on the agenda, any other business. This meeting is the last meeting of this panel in this section, and as the chairman, I thank members for their support. In the coming year, I hope that we will have a brand new arrangement so that all of us can take part in chairing the panel. We had very smooth work, and we have benefited from the collective minds. The administration also helped us well, and we will submit the panel report on the 14th of December 2022 to the council meeting, and I wish you all the best upon retirement, and we hope that you will continue to serve the public. HKPC Chairman, well, yes, thank you. Thank you. This is the end of the meeting.
首先。